We will take a look at what some F1 team principals have to say about Max Verstappen. Verstappen has made winning look so easy. He has been utterly dominant this season, even in races where he started from lower positions on the grid. That shows the incredible talent of young Max. This has got everyone in the F1 world talking about the Dutch driver. After making his F1 debut for Toro Rosso at the 2015 Australian Grand Prix under Tost's tutelage, Max Verstappen was promoted to the senior Red Bull squad early in 2016, and he has won on his debut for them in Spain. After only attempting to win the occasional race between 2016 and 2020, Verstappen had his first real run at the Formula One World Championship in 2021. He defeated Lewis Hamilton in the season-ending race in Abu Dhabi to claim the crown. Also, he has had a dominant performance this season, claiming his second F1 World Championship. Since his debut, Max has broken and set some amazing F1 records. Here are what F1 team principals think of the two-time F1 champion. Franz Tost. Let's begin with Franz Tost, who is currently the oldest team principal in Formula One. Tost is the team principal of AlphaTauri. Over the years, the AlphaTauri team principal has served as a guide and mentor to a number of the sport's most successful drivers. He is known for being a demanding taskmaster who helps young drivers acquire the foundational skills necessary to become Formula One stars. Tost has worked with a number of notable drivers, including Ralf Schumacher, Juan Pablo Montoya, Sebastian Vettel, Daniel Ricciardo, Carlos Sainz, and Pierre Gasly, among others. According to Tost, he sees echoes of Michael Schumacher in Max Verstappen. Tost said it took only one look at Max Verstappen in action to be reminded of Michael Schumacher. In an interview, Tost spoke about his first meeting with Max Verstappen. He said, "I met Max for the first time with his father at the Nürburgring. He was still driving karts at the time. The next time was at the Norris Ring in Formula 3. In the rain, he drove in a league of his own, as if he was the only one who had discovered a dry line. He immediately reminded me of Michael Schumacher." You could see what a mega talent Max was. After all, we took some criticism when we entrusted him with Toro Rosso at the age of 17, someone who didn't even have a driving license. He also did his first training session at Suzuka, one of the most difficult circuits of all. But Max did it all with aplomb. He never had any problems with the great speed of a Formula One car, always had everything under control right from the start. Because of his aggressive driving style, especially in his earlier seasons, Verstappen has occasionally been the subject of criticism despite his enormous talent. Tost, on the other hand, has noticed some signs of growth and is confident that the best is yet to come. Tost said, in his first races, he was sometimes a little too aggressive. That sometimes led to a crash, for example in Monaco with Romain Grosjean. Today, he is driving at an extremely high level. Nevertheless, we haven't seen the maximum from him yet. Only Charles Leclerc can come close. Lewis Hamilton has already suffered too much from the ravages of time. Sainz is performing very well at Ferrari and can be on a par with Leclerc if everything goes right. But in terms of basic speed, Leclerc is 0.2 faster. Gunther Steiner. According to Haas boss Gunther Steiner, Formula One has entered the Max Verstappen era. Although the Dutchman's accomplishments were clouded by the 2021 season finale and this year's budget cap scandal, Steiner claims that the Verstappen era is comparable to the Hamilton, Vettel, and Schumacher eras that came before it. He said, "Every era has its champion. In this era, it's just Max." Steiner continued, directly comparing the two-time F1 champion Verstappen and the legendary Michael Schumacher, saying, "When Michael was there, it was Michael. We are right in the middle of that era now. He's got the talent, the drive, he's just a master at the moment." When asked who could be able to challenge Verstappen's dominance in 2023, Steiner said, "I think Charles Leclerc's driving skills are very good at the moment, but sometimes he still makes mistakes, a little too many mistakes, and Max just doesn't make them anywhere." Helmut Marko. Helmut Marko has been having a good time celebrating his team's double championship in Formula One in 2022. The Red Bull sporting advisor feels that no other active Formula One driver can end the Dutchman's dominance. Helmut Marko also acknowledged that he had warned drivers at Red Bull that it is just not possible to beat Max Verstappen, who is the current frontrunner in Formula One. After a contentious run to the championship in 2021, Verstappen has proved untouchable this season, establishing a record-breaking 14 Grand Prix victories in a single season. Sergio Perez, another member of the same team, is currently battling for second place in the standings. Following in the footsteps of Daniel Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly, and Alex Albon, the Mexican joins the reigning world champion as the world champion's fourth partner at Red Bull. Just like the three who came before him, Perez has been made to take a back seat to the prodigy, who is 25 years old. And Marko, who is in charge of the driver development program for the team, hasn't been afraid to let the other four drivers know who the number one driver is. Marko said, "At some stage, you have to recognize there is someone who is special and it's just not possible to beat him. It's my job to make them understand that. Is that cruel? I don't think so. To have Max as a teammate is not a nice part of your career. Max is so special. He was trained in a very tough way by his father, Jos, but very successfully. Marko claimed that in the past, in a fruitless attempt to compete with Verstappen, Verstappen's partners had resorted to making modifications to their vehicle. The Austrian said, "They compare their car with his. Do I have the same material, they think? How can I overcome him? They can't, so they try to change the setup on the car or adapt their driving style. Of course, you can't accept that you are simply not as good as him." Marko continued by analysing Verstappen's prowess behind the wheel and emphasised that there is no stopping the Red Bull driver, who is only 25 years old. Marko added, "Max drives with more confidence than ever, with more overall vision. At the same time, he has become a tyre expert. For example, he drives longer on a soft tyre than his rivals do with a harder compound. I think there is no limit for him. He gets in the car and has so much confidence from the first free practice session. From the first lap, you can see that when it's wet, he's 2 seconds faster than the rest in the first laps. Everyone has to get close first." Christian Horner. After Max Verstappen broke yet another Formula One record in Mexico City, Christian Horner was quick to bestow accolades on the reigning world champion. It was Verstappen's 14th victory of the year, which broke the record for the most Grand Prix victories in a single season. Before the year 2022, Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel were the only F1 drivers to have accomplished such a feat. They both had 13 wins in 2004 and 2013 respectively. When team principal Horner spoke after the race, he was effusive in his admiration for the way in which Verstappen's victory was carried out. Horner commented, "Max has broken a record and, along with the season that he's had, it was just an impeccable drive. The first car to lead from the pole and through the first corner in Mexico. He really controlled the race. I think we've made the strategy calls right today. The softs and the mediums were definitely the better tyres." When asked about the magnitude of the accomplishment, Horner made a remark regarding the level of performance that Verstappen had achieved in 2022. Horner said, "He is something very special, and I think what we're witnessing is actually something very special. He's operating at an incredibly high level. With a race like today, the control that he had to be able to lengthen out the stint on the soft tyre, match the pace on the medium tyre, we got the calls right today." Now over to you. What are your thoughts about Max Verstappen? Do you agree with what these F1 team principals have said? Let us know in the comment section below.